Right, and with Roger Draper, 80 days into the job now, Roger. How's it going?
Well, it's a big challenge, but it's really enjoyable. I'm enjoying my time at Warrington Wolves, and I've done a lot of listening over the last 80 days, and we're beginning to start sort of mapping out some of the things that we need to do to take the club on to the next level.
What sort of changes have you implemented so far?
Well, as I say, it's been very much about sort of listening and learning in my first few days, and we've been trying to do, make a few changes, every week that hopefully people will notice a difference. But there's some big jobs that we've got to do here, and we've started to set the direction for where we want to be as a club. And we do want to be up there among the best rugby league clubs, in the world. We know we've got to deliver on-field success. But the big focus, for me, has been on the fan experience. So, there's a huge amount of work that we've got to do, and we're just putting those into some priority areas. We've obviously got a big fan sort of survey out at the moment, so we can hear the views of the fans, which is going to be interesting. And that's got everyone talking in Warrington.
What sort of feedback have you been getting from the fans?
Well, we've really opened the sort of floodgates or the drain covers, so as to speak, but it's a wide range of feedback. But a lot of it has been around, they don't feel the club's been that connected with the fans. It's been quite commercially driven. It's one of the challenges when you're a sports club, of the balance between running the business and being a sports club. So we want to be a caring club. We want to be a club that listens to our fans, and not just listens, but actually does something about it. So we've got about 51 things at the moment on our list of things to do. So it's everything from transforming Wolfwear into a first-class retail operation, to launching a new membership scheme, to try and have a ticketless stadium, to have a loyalty programme and card, rebuild our website, that we have a website that the club to be proud of, looking at the food and beverage offerings around the stadium. But a lot of it's about people. It's about, the customer service here hasn't been good enough, the quality's not been good enough, and as I said, there's a whole raft of things, from the membership scheme, fan engagement, the match day experience, the brand, the commercial side of things that we need to fix.
Now, you've been talking about the things behind the scenes. On the pitch, things haven't been going quite as well as people were going to expect at the start of the season either. What do you put that down to?
Well, it's interesting, because when I came into the club, I thought, well, actually, we're in a good place. I thought, I described it as we built this sort of V8 engine, and Tony did apologise to me. He said, you've got enough on your plate without worrying about some of that stuff, and particularly that run we had from sort of Huddersfield, Widnes, Castleford was, they were pretty sort of dark days here, and that was in my first month here. So the V8 engine was sort of spluttering and backfiring and so on. But you're going to get, things like that in sport, and it's a mix of things. Lack of form from some players. We've had some injuries, and I think that's been reflected across a lot of the Super League clubs this year. It's not, nobody's been really outstanding. Leeds have been pretty consistent, and ironically, we've saved our best performances for Leeds. So, we're getting into the sort of the juicy part of the season now, and I'm hoping that Tony and the team are going to start firing on all cylinders as we head towards the sort of business end, because at the end of the day it's about sort of doing well in the Challenge Cups, doing well in the playoffs, and ultimately winning grand finals. But I'm confident we're heading in the right direction as a club. I've been involved in a lot of high performance environments, with the Olympics, with the rowing teams, and said, and we've got a really good setup here at Warrington Wolves. We've got some good people. We're going to have, some bumpy bits along the way, but we're certainly heading in the right direction. I have every confidence in Tony and the team that they're going to, we're going to be in the thick of it at the end of the season.
Something else you've had to deal with recently is the Micky Higham situation, which is quite unusual these days for a player to leave a club mid-season. How's that been for you?
Well, it's been an interesting experience, because I think it's, I know, there's been a lot of talk in the club about how we treated players before. I wasn't here when sort of Woody left, or Gareth or others have left, and I'm always a big believer that if you're part of Warrington Wolves, you remember your time here, or whatever club you're involved in. So Mickey's been a slightly difficult situation for everyone. You've always got to look at it through two different perspectives. You've got, well, in this instance, three perspectives, because you've got Lee involved, you've got Mickey as a person, and you've got the club here as well. So it's been a difficult sort of 10 days here, but hopefully we've reached an amicable situation, and we're just about to announce that Mickey will be moving on to Lee, and everyone seems to be happy now. But it's been a difficult week really, because Mickey's a good guy, and he's given the club 7 years of service, and we'll be sad to see him go.
Makes it a little bit more juicy, but you've actually drawn Lee in the Challenge Cup as well.
Yeah, well, obviously one of the big things, as part of this deal is he's cup tied for that game, so we won't have Mickey causing us any problems on that day. But actually, I think it's a fantastic draw, not just for Warrington Wolves. I think it's a really good draw for rugby league as well, and for Lee. They're on a roll. They're very ambitious. They've beaten Salford, they've beaten Wakefield. They've got ambitions to be a Super League club, and they're going to bring a big following. So I think it's going to be a really good party atmosphere here that day. Despite
the up and down form this season, are you still confident as a club that you can still challenge for silverware this season and bring the trophy home again?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the mix. The fans, the expectations are very high here. That's one of the things I've learned in my first 80 days. It's not about we are seen as one of the big 3 or 4 clubs, and therefore we expect to win things. And obviously winning 3 Challenge Cups and being to 2 grand finals has sort of whetted the appetite, and it's how do we kick on from that. So again, it's not necessarily inevitability, but I've got every confidence in what we're doing here as we build for the future, that we will win a grand final, whether that's this year, next year, the year after. I think there's an ambition here. If we want to be the best rugby league club, then we've got to be winning trophies.
We've already signed 1 new player for next season in Gidley, quality Australian coming over. Tony's mentioned that there might be 1 or 2 other players coming. Do you get involved in those negotiations to bring the players over?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, from a performance point of view, Tony's the head coach, and he looks at the strengths and the squad and where we need to recruit, and he'll sit down and have a discussion with myself and Simon, and Neil's involved from a finance point of view, and Richard Agar, and we get together and have those meetings, and we map ahead for the future, and and then Simon actually cracks on, and we work together as a team on that. But ultimately, Tony's head of performance, and he's the guy who's accountable and responsible. So it's not me who says, I think we should have this player. It comes down to Tony, and we do the rest of the stuff from a contractual, financial, negotiating point of view. But we're always in the market for quality players, and we want to make sure we've got the right blend of youth and experience that leads to winning teams. And if you look to any successful sports team, I know there was the famous Alan Hansen quote about you never win anything with kids, and then look what happened at Man United. But I think you've got to have that blend, and particularly in a sport that's as physical as ours. So hopefully we'll iron some of those things out, and we will bring some more signings to the club in for the next season.
Just to finish off the interview, Roger, you've been here the 80 days, you've looked, you've listened. What's the most unusual complaint you've had?
Unusual complaint. Well, I don't know. I had my first egg thrown at me, and I've had a season ticket booklet thrown at me. So that's pretty minor, really. I don't know. I think it's a wide range of things. I think it's just some of the sort of experiences that you have, and the great thing for me is that the people of Warrington are passionate about this club, and they're emotionally committed to it. And it's made me realise it's like a pillar, it's a rock in people's lives. So, we can make, the productivity of Warrington either goes up or down depending on our performances on the weekend. And, that doesn't happen in many sort of towns or cities across the country. So I don't think there's anything sort of peculiar or abnormal. It's just, I think the big thing that's come across to me is just how passionate our fans are. And, that brings its own expectations on us as a club, and on me as chief exec, and Tony and Simon and the board as well, because it ups our game as well. But as I say, all we can do is try and listen to the fans and improve the fan experience, and that's what we intend to do over the months and years ahead.
Okay, Roger, thanks for your time.